Now that we've done all our debits and credits and how to process all the different types of transactions, we now need to add on top GST, or the goods and services tax. And for all students, but particularly those who maybe aren't from Australia originally, goods and services tax can be quite confusing. What is it and how does it work? Well, before we get to it, why don't we just talk about in general what taxes are. Governments charge taxes to pay for the services they provide: roads, hospitals, schools, police, etc. And in Australia, we have a lot of taxes, like most countries. So here's some taxes that we have. We have income tax. So when you earn a salary as an individual or a wage, that's the tax you pay on your salary. So the rate is 0% if you earn under $18,200 per year. And then if you earn more than that, it ranges from 19% to 45%. What other taxes do we have? We have something called capital gains tax, which is the tax paid on profits made on investments. So if you make a profit on some shares or an investment property, that sort of thing. And that is different. If you're a business, it's 30% of the profit that you make. And if you're an individual, it's the same as your income tax rate. We also have payroll tax. That's the tax that businesses have to pay on their wages of their employees. And it's around 4 to 5% of wages. It's different in every state, but it's sort of around that mark. And we have company tax. That's the tax that is paid by businesses on their profits. So if you're a small business, 27.5% of your profits need to get paid in tax, and large businesses 30%. So that's some of the taxes that we have in Australia. Now, that's the bad news, that we have a lot of taxes. The good news is we don't deal with any of those taxes in our course. So what do we deal with then? Well, the only one we will ever deal with is the goods and services tax, or GST. So we'll probably refer to it as GST from now on. That just stands for goods and services tax. And basically what it means is in Australia, there's a 10% GST applied to the purchase price of most goods and services. For example, a soft drink, a haircut, footwear and clothing, mechanical services and parts. Pretty much most goods and services, we'll look at some are actually GST free in a different video, but for most things that you buy, there will be a GST. So when you actually go and buy a $3 bottle of soft drink, you're actually paying $3.30 because there's a 10% GST. So the GST is 10% of the purchase price. So for example, this bottle of Coke, it's a $3 bottle of Coke with 10% GST, so you would actually pay $3.30. With the haircut, it's a $50 haircut with 10% GST of $5, so you would be charged $55. These LeBron shoes here, let's say they were $250 plus 10% GST of $25, that means you would be charged $275. And if you went and got your car serviced and got some parts in there, let's say it was $700, they have to charge you GST of $70, that would be a total of $770. So this has been happening on all the things you've been buying. You probably just didn't realize it at the time. And that's because in Australia, it's actually illegal for a business not to show the 10% GST. So, for example, let's just take this. This is on the Woolworths website. There's a bottle of Coke. It's $3.55. Now, is that saying that does have GST, or does GST need to go on top of that? So is it this? Is it saying that is a $3.55 bottle of Coke plus GST of 35 cents, so that's 10%. So that means you'd pay $3.90. Is that what that's saying? Well, that's what's actually illegal. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. What that's actually saying is that is actually a $3.23 bottle of Coke with 10% GST, which is 32 cents. So you will pay $3.55. So see, that's the amount there. And because it's advertised like that, you don't realize that you've been actually paying GST. So your bottle of Coke is not $3.55, it's actually $3.23. Let's take these LeBrons. So this is a really complicated price, $279.99. What does that mean? Does that mean it's a $279.99 pair of shoes with 10% GST of $27.99? So you will actually have to pay $307.98. No, that's illegal. You can't advertise it like that. So what we need to do is then go, well, actually, what is it then? It's actually, those LeBrons are only $254.55. They have 10% of that of GST on top, which is $25.45, and that is why you would pay the amount that's shown here, $279.99, there. So that's actually illegal to not include that in the purchase, or sorry, the advertised price. And therefore, you probably don't realize it, but you've been paying GST on everything. It just hasn't spelt it out correctly. So I guess what we could say is, if we're studying accounting, life would be so much easier for us as accountants if every business just advertised like this. They said on the sign, here's the bottle of Coke, it's $3, here's the GST, it's 30 cents, you owe us $3.30. But they don't do that. What they do is they usually do it like this. They just give us an amount. They say $3.30 or $2.75 or whatever it might be, and we need to know that there's GST on it, and more importantly, how to calculate it. So how the hell do we actually go and do that? How do we calculate all these GST amounts when they're not given to us? Well, that's what we're going to look at in our next video. We're going to need some formulas on how to calculate the GST.